All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start promptly on time. As always, we just like to kind of greet people as they come on, the early risers, right? I've heard like early bird gets the worm, but I've also heard early worm gets eaten by the bird. So depending on how you want to look at it, but we've got Ann, Hannah, what's up, JD? There's Andy, man. It's been a long time, Andy. Glad you could join us. Hey, Amy. Pleasure as always. This is going to be pretty fun. So, we're excited to have everybody on. Why don't the presenters, why don't you turn your camera on for a second so that we can give you guys your props, so that they just know what's coming, right? So we're gonna geek out, right? We're gonna get into some data here, and it's going to be a pretty fun little competition. Normally, we do this during President's Club. Now, the downside to that is unless you're a dealer principal or a dealer executive, probably haven't seen it. The other problem with it is when you do it live, we don't get as much time with the people on stage because we have to shuffle people in and people out. So we've got an opportunity here to get a little bit more insights from these guys. Rather than normal 5 minutes, we get 8 minutes, and plus some Q&A. So welcome everyone, most valuable insight competition. We're going to get this thing kicked off. So let me give you a couple of rules about this. First of all, if you're a dealer and you joined, a lot of you should have, or some of you should have in your inbox a judging sheet. We would appreciate if you fill that out as the presenters are going, because at the end of this, Dylan's going to do her best, 10 key counting, and we're going to be able to announce the winner. The winner of this competition gets a keynote at the Driving Sales Executive Summit coming up at the Cosmopolitan in September in Vegas. So it's a pretty cool thing. And all 4 of these data, insights, and presentations they're just really good. There's a lot of insight here. So either way, you're going to be able to take it back to your dealership, which brings me to my next point. Anybody who registered for this is going to get the recording. So, if you miss some of this data, or you want to show somebody in your store that this can make a big impact on, you'll be able to have this and you can go back and revisit it. In addition, we'll put it on the community so we can get some dialogue going back and forth. So the order of this will be Cox Automotive is going to go first, followed by Lot Pop, then Lotlinx, and finally Poly. And what we've asked them to do is to bring us, with all of the horsepower that these companies have, the dealerships that they're in, and the opportunity they have to see all of this data, to bring us some insights, some quantifiable, actionable insights based on this data that you can deploy in your store. So really cool, and we're really excited to have them there. So without further ado, Brent, is it go time? Are you good?
It's go time. I'm good.
All right.
Share my
so
screen.
the other, if you guys want to, mute yourselves and turn off your cameras, and we'll let Brent pull up his slides. And when he gives us the green light, the thumbs up, we'll let him take off. I'm going to turn my camera off as well, so we only see you. Okay. How you feeling? You ready?
I'm ready to go. How about you?
Let's do this then. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna find the stopwatch and go.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much. My name is Brent Town. I'm from Cox Automotive. Today I'm going to talk about our DriveQ consumer intelligence engine and how it's helping dealers drive sales. Make sure the screen changes. Is that good on your end?
Yes, you're good.
All right, fantastic. So overall, DriveQ consumer intelligence, what it basically is a taxonomy of insights. They're highly reliable, highly timely, and very actionable insights about automotive consumers. And we embed that intelligence within Cox Automotive's suite of various solutions, web solutions, direct marketing, advertising, etc. And it results in an increased dealer return on investment. So embedded intelligence drives ROI for dealers. Whenever I talk about consumer intelligence, I always have to start with signal collection. Cox Automotive is really uniquely positioned in the marketplace in that we have an insane view, an insane multi-touch view of the automotive consumer as they shop, as they buy, as they service, as they sell, et cetera, et cetera. As a matter of fact, we stream all of that different activity up to a centralized data platform where we ingest up to 30 million activities about automotive consumers and the things that they're doing in their vehicle ownership lifecycle every single day, 30 million activities a day. A lot of these sources are actually streaming in real time, meaning we're collecting these signals, and from the moment somebody, say, clicks a button on a website, those signals are updating and informing intelligence within 3 seconds from those button clicks, so that all of our insights are highly fresh, highly reliable, and actually reflect where the consumer's at in their ownership journey. Now, this might sound easy, but disparate sources of data from all different brands coming in under different types of identity, like PII identity or digital identity, it's actually really hard to use. And so what we do is we have an enterprise identity resolution platform embedded within this single platform. And that identity resolution platform actually contains all of the digital and terrestrial or PII data about nearly every US adult in the United States and up to 25 years of history of that identity data. And what that allows us to do is we can start resolving all of those disparate data sets coming in via different types of identifiers to a persistent consumer and their household in near real time. We never actually have to send that data outside of Cox Automotive's walls. Why is that important? Because it helps reduce exposure to consumer privacy. It helps reduce exposure of commercial risk for both Cox Automotive and our dealer clients. This identity resolution platform is stitching together the multi-touch view of the consumer for terrestrial to terrestrial records. So Brent, Brenton, my wife, Emily, her old name was Daigle, now her last name's Town. It knows all of those different identity changes and can stitch all that together. It also stitches together all of that PII data to digital data. So as I go and I browse websites, we're actually resolving all of that, even if it's anonymous, to that consumer's profile and record. And we can even do digital to digital, meaning we can stitch together cookies that are happening across browsers, across devices, across domains. And then we can tie that all to different people in my household. So like that really is the foundation to providing a holistic view of the automotive consumer. And again, we can do that for pretty much every US adult. That forms the foundation for deriving highly reliable insights about consumers. It's one thing to collect data, it's another thing to stitch it together, but it's a whole nother thing to have algorithms that have been trained to derive highly reliable insights and predictions about what the consumer's needs and intents are. What makes our proprietary algorithms unique here is because we have access to so many outcomes like leads and sales records, we can actually validate and train our algorithms on actual transaction records. So if we're predicting somebody's in market, we can see, did they buy? If we're predicting they're in market for a Ford, we can see, did they buy a Ford? What price range are they shopping in? What did we predict? What did they buy? That helps ensure that our insights are highly reliable and predictive in nature. And to give you an understanding of volume, we're calculating up to 70 million insights every single day about consumers as we see all of those events stream into this one platform. The result is we have this holistic, reliable, real-time view of the automotive consumer that helps us understand in-market propensity, even pre-market predictions, meaning they're not shopping yet, but we believe they're going to be shopping soon. Price ranges, price sensitivity, preferred makes and models, preferred body styles, fuel type, are they considering plug-in EV, EVs, age ranges, new use, CPO, you name it. And through partnerships with third parties, we actually augment this identity profile and insight profile with third-party attributes like financial attributes, lifestyle attributes, personal interests, demographics, family attributes, things that really matter in terms of fully understanding the automotive consumer. Okay, so what? As I like to say, data and intelligence, it's only useful if it can be put to work to drive real meaningful value for consumers and real meaningful value for our clients and dealers. So let's talk about that a little bit. To give you an idea of scale, this intelligence is actually syndicated via APIs and directly embedded into the software solutions that dealers use every single day. To give you an idea of volume here, we receive up to 49,000 calls to our APIs every single minute across more than 12,000 website domains. And those websites are reading the predictions about the consumers to then derive personalized experiences. We enrich over 800,000 leads every year to help provide the dealer who's receiving that lead with a more holistic view and understanding of what that consumer's needs really are. We're integrating into over 7,000 CRM instances to help dealers realize what their consumers' needs are in their CRM and reach out to them in the right moments, or have a more personalized interaction when they walk through the door or when they pick up the phone to call them. Over 500 automated marketing instances that we're using to derive insights about consumers that inform personalized messaging and direct marketing, like mailers and email, text messages. And we actually operate a real-time bidding platform at Cox Automotive. That real-time bidding platform uses this intelligence to inform up to 800,000 bids every single second. So let's talk about how that translates to value for the dealer. Ad campaigns utilizing this consumer intelligence, we see increased post-impression and post-click value, meaning higher value is actually realized after the ads have been served to those consumers, and we measure that through multi-touch web attribution. Higher ROI, we see a return of 8 times return on investment of our direct marketing platform, 10 times when dealers are using this through multi-channel because of higher email open rates and higher click-through rates. The leads that get enriched and provide that more holistic view of the consumer, they convert at a higher rate, from 33% market conversion rate to 40%. More leads converted into sales. And websites that are personalized have more shopping engagement and higher conversion. So in review, embedded intelligence improves advertising efficiency, improves direct marketing efficiency, increases web conversion, and improves in-store experiences. And that's it.
Man. Well, thank you so much. If you can if you can stop sharing your screen for a second.
Sure.
We have a chat function. You can use chat or you can raise your hand. We'd love to get some questions for around this. My main question is, I like the data. We all know the old story about the guy who went into Target because he was angry because his daughter was getting, all that old pregnancy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she was pregnant. This actionable data, are we talking about tailoring the experience on a website for a consumer? Are we talking about the responses that you can send based on a lead coming in? Can you give me a little bit of a detail around the different ways the dealerships are leveraging this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be more specific, how dealerships' applications that they're using every single day, how the software itself is using this. And that's a big part of how we translate intelligence or data into real value, is how usable is it? How can I actually use this as a dealer? And the good news is, because it's embedded into these software solutions, the dealer doesn't have to do a whole lot of thinking. So when you as the consumer arrive to that website, the website has a much more broad understanding of what your needs are to personalize to you in real time. The dealer never had to think about that. The automated marketing platform looks at the consumers in that dealer CRM. It augments it with a more holistic view of what that consumer's needs are. And it uses that understanding to automatically send hyper-targeted and personalized emails, direct mailers to that consumer. Again, the dealer never had to even think about that. And the result is higher engagement and higher conversion.
You might have just answered Amy's question, but she said, is the buying signals in VIN solutions part of this?
You got it. Yep. This intelligence engine powers buying signals within VIN solutions. Great call out.
Right. Anybody else have any other questions on this? It's a lot of insights and information. I guess while we're doing this, with all these data signals coming in and all this data and all these API pings to be a non-data person, how are you guys deploying AI to integrate all this stuff together and to help
Yeah,
make
the
more
AI
sense.
comes in the insights layer of that presentation I just provided. So as signal comes in, the AI is looking at those signals and saying, based on the behaviors of this consumer, what do I think is the things that this consumer is most interested in or needing next? And it's continuously being reinforced by figuring out what the next best action is for that consumer. That derives the actual insights themselves. At that point, it's making those insights immediately available for applications downstream to use, whether it's a website or a real-time bidding platform or a marketing platform. And that's where the APIs and whatnot come into play.
Okay. Any other questions? I do have a Q&A. Patricia's saying what types of AI services are available. There seems like they're all just inside of this holistic tool, or are there separate things that dealer can access to kind of look at some of those insights?
The insights themselves would be surfaced via the solutions that dealers are using. So, for example, automotive intelligence was brought up, and that's a great example. These insights will surface themselves in your CRM if you're utilizing VIN solutions. So you have a much broader and a more holistic understanding of the consumer. I've heard stories, for example, of like the Chevrolet dealership as one example. Had a customer they haven't spoken to in 5 years, and the CRM actually mined the insights from this engine to say, hey, this consumer is actually back in market again. They're cross-shopping different brands. That prompted the dealer to pick up the phone. Hey, Bob, it's been 5 years. How you doing? How's the family? Anything I can do to help you out? That ended up driving a sale for that dealership, even though that consumer wasn't considering shopping from them yet. And so that's one way that this would surface itself in an actual solution to drive an actual sale for a dealer.
Yeah, here's a question from Brian. I'm surprised you can type, Brian. Your arms aren't sore from paddling that canoe the last little while, but he said, will AI become available inside their website visits? How do you keep this from getting creepy? Because I think that there's that fine line there.
Yeah. Yeah. So these insights are being used today within websites in the dealer.com platform. And it's definitely a balance between how personalized do you make it versus just how relevant do you make it to the experience, and then let the consumer navigate from there. And that's something that our user experience team members within the web platform and our product team members in the platform, they have to make those types of decisions every day. As we move into like the generative AI space, where literally content is going to be custom created for consumers as they arrive to websites based on what that consumer's needs are. That's where we're really going to start stepping up to that line. And we're going to have to be pretty smart about making sure that we don't get too hyper focused on something about the consumer. The goal here is engagement and relevancy. It's not creep somebody out. So we just got to be conscious of that for sure.
All right, last question for Brent. This is also from Brian. Are these PURL sites?
Are these what?
PURL sites, Pearl sites?
Oh, yes. Pearl sites actually do leverage this intelligence as well. Yep, great call out. And I'll say that Pearl sites also, the nice thing about this centralized engine is the direct marketing campaigns out of AMP will personalize to the consumer based on this intelligence. And then the clicks that the consumer makes from those emails into the website is using the same intelligence engine to create that consistency omni-channel for the consumer, both the direct marketing campaign and the website page that they land on that's personalized. So yes, yeah, love the call outs of the actual product features. Yeah.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks everyone for the questions. You're just getting warmed up here. Next, if you can turn your camera and and mute yourself, Brent. Let's get.
Thanks everybody.
On. Jason. Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say you're going to be talking about used cars, but you know, I don't know, I may be wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and you give me the thumbs up when you're ready, and we'll get going.
You can see my screen. Am I good? Can you see my screen and can you hear me?
Yep, you're good to go, Jason.
Sorry, I muted myself, Jason.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, you're good. Screen looks good. We can hear you just fine.
All right. So I'll go ahead and start. And yes, we're going to cover inventory management, not just use, because what we're going to go over can impact new. I'm going to talk really fast, and I apologize. There's a lot I want to go over, but it's down to the basics. You know, Brent brought up, more leads, but I want to break down these leads, but it's impacted by inventory and how inventory impacts lead management, and it should, and vice versa. Lead management should be impacting inventory issues. So there's metrics that we've done for 25 years with internet lead management, like internet closing percentage, lead to appointment ratio. A lot of this stuff I talked about last year's presentation. I'm going to scratch the surface on that because over the last 12 months, we discovered more things that have to do with this. And what I'm talking about here, we look great on our physical lot. We TO deals, we make sure customers are being meet and greeted, our cars are standing tall, but our virtual lot is running typically two different silos, an inventory management tool and a CRM, two different silos of a department, an inventory manager and a BDC, and none of them really work together in that virtual lot, and that's what we're bringing together. And one of the things that we found is, CRMs, regardless of whatever the CRM is, regardless of the inventory tool is, the CRM is typically managing leads based on the age of the lead. We assume that the customer, it's a fresh lead, we're going to call an email every day because they're hot in the market, but we don't know. They could be 2 days out or 2 months out. This is a cars.com study. On the left, it shows 27% are buying less than a month. That means 73% are taking longer than a month. So managing leads based on the age of the lead is irrelevant to where they might be in their buying cycle. It's also irrelevant to inventory, and I'll mention that here in a second. I gave over here day gaps on lead management, 0 to 7 day leads. If we're supposed to call them every day, I gave a 2 day gap, and so forth as the lead ages. And what we found was, and I'm going to go through this right here, 3,800 leads over the last 60 days for a group of dealers. And if you notice, 66% of these leads are on cars out of stock. 2,500 of these leads can't buy the car they wanted anymore. This impacts a closing percentage on lead management. It's not a good metric to understand how inventory is impacting it. But even by managing leads based on the age of the lead, we're not doing a great job. A 15 to 30 day old lead, 51%, if the car is still in stock, haven't been contacted in at least 4 days, 61 if it's out of stock. But I want to talk about the switch leads. When we have 66% of the customers on a car that's sold, if we're on a showroom floor, we wouldn't just tell them, hey, that car's sold, and turn around and walk away. We're going to say, hey, are you interested in that segment and similar price point? I got other vehicles, and we're going to switch them. A high percentage of customers do get switched on a showroom floor, but we're not taking that time to earn their business on lead management, and we need to. So 2,500 leads can't buy the car they want anymore, but 987 of those leads had a switch opportunity. Same segment, same price range. 40 grand large pickup truck. We have other around 40 grand large pickup trucks. The problem was 77% of those customers haven't been contacted in 5 days. We're not taking advantage of this. Again, another set, 60, you can see here, 62% of these leads are on cars that sold. The higher the percentage on leads that are cars that sold, the dealer's doing better. They're getting 4 or 5 leads a car, the car sells. But here's the other kicker that I presented last year. 47% of these leads, again, if you got 100 leads, 47 of those are on just 10% of your inventory, 10 cars. And we dug even deeper to our dealer 20 group here. As a dealers, they had 1,600 total leads. And if you look, okay, 846 of them were on the top 10 cars. 10 cars got 51% of their leads. That was mind blowing. Okay, so what does that mean to your inventory and your leads? So we took down the inventory. There's 1,200 cars. Of those 1,200 cars, this is the difference that we started seeing this year. Half my inventory didn't have leads. 606 cars out of 1,200 didn't have leads. That's a metric you need to know. It's not leads per car. Okay, and that's a metric we track. 1, 2, 3 leads per car. No, what I need to know is what percentage of my inventory doesn't have leads. That's a new metric that you got to really wrap your head around. Because if almost half your leads are going on 10 cars, okay, that leaves the other half are going on 25% of your inventory, because the other half of your inventory doesn't even have leads, and that's a red flag. The big thing is, though, of the 606 cars that didn't have leads, 432 of those cars, or 71% of them, had somebody looking for something similar, switch opportunity. So what happens is, if you understand leads as activity, I get a lead, I'm going to proactively call an email. Here's the top 10 cars at one of our dealerships. He happens to be a Honda store. Look at that top car. Now, it's a $7 grand car. They get 38 leads on that car. That car is getting 38 activities, calls and emails, right? But the problem is, that's where we spend all of our energy on. Look at the second car, the 2020 X40, okay, 32 grand car. it's getting 19 leads, 19 calls and emails. They're 60 plus days old. And these cars we happen to be losing money on. So that's where my team's spending all their time. Call and email all these leads on only 10 cars that are losing money. That's an eye opener. That then we take a look at these cars with no leads. These have no active leads on them right here, okay? And one that stands out to me is a 2020 Ford Escape that's 60 days old, 21.5. It's a 22 grand car. That's a $400 car payment. How many people in my database are looking for a $400 a month intermediate SUV? This dealer happens to have 34 switch opportunities. If we can understand that and think about this, what car needs more activity? The car that has 38 leads, you don't even probably have to call and email those 38 leads. There's somebody's going to show up to buy that car. But that's where we're spending our energy. The energy really needs, because we're reacting to those leads. Just as much as we're reacting to, we need to push back out. These cars with no leads, we need to be forcing. Lotlinx is great here. They're going to, they could boost this car and get in front of active audiences. But let's take the 34 people that are looking for similar cars and switch them. And think about this: if you have a BDC department, they only work cars they get leads on. So if the 2020 Ford Escape, they don't even know they have that on their lot. The BDC department sitting up in the top showroom, they're not even on the lot. They don't even know that car exists on your lot because they don't have a lead on it, okay? But if they use the switches, they can, okay? And then you get fresh inventory, and this is the difference. We get fresh cars that are coming into inventory. They're not photoed yet, they're not priced right, but yet there's gross to be made on them. 6-day-old car, Honda Accord, they have no leads on it. This is where you get the switch opportunities, and dealers are able to make more gross because we're earning the customer's business. We're helping them. They don't know we're priced high. Hey, great news. I got a new one in stock. Let me get some photos for you. And we increase in that fresh sale rate. I don't need it online ready for sale if I can benefit that. And then we start looking at activities. So when my BDC department, they'll do 100, 200 calls and emails a day, right? Which might look good. Taylor here did 125 activities yesterday, but only 28 of those had anything to do with my cars in stock. 79% of this dealership's emails and calls had nothing to do with inventory in my calls. So here's what they're doing. They're following their lead process based on the age of the lead. Look at this lead up here. It's 52 days old. This is red. This indicates the car they want. It's no longer in stock. And down here, I have no switch opportunities. 40-day-old lead on a car, 07 Mercedes, no switch opportunities. But if you look, we called a day ago. A day ago. What are we calling an email on these customers about? The car they want, it's sold, and I have nothing else to sell them. In the meantime, we have cars in stock, a 56-day-old lead on a truck, that car's in stock. I haven't contacted them in 28 days. Why are we doing this? Because again, CRNs doesn't have anything to do with my inventory. And if I have a problem with these cars moving, I need to call and email these leads every day, regardless of the age of the lead. So we're helping dealerships figuring out what leads they're not handling. We can isolate large pickup truck leads and just focus on large pickup truck leads, the ones that are in stock first, the ones that have switch opportunities, so we don't have to drop prices, loses gross. Just to make sure that we're maximizing all. If our leads are down, traffic's down, we need to recycle what we have. A 13-day-old lead looking for this Ram that's sold, we have 11 other vehicles we could talk to them about. We need to take advantage of that. So we call it processes on purpose. I need to understand that leads per car. I need to understand what cars don't have leads and proactively attack them. I have a database that can, and then there's marketing companies like Cox and Lotlinx can help you get these cars from. I'll stop there. I know my time's up.
Man, thanks a lot. One thing I love about what you do, and I saw it on your sheet, is your WTF metric. And I know it doesn't stand for what I think it stands for, but maybe it does. I don't know, but like WTF, like, yeah, I know it's work the facts, but it's kind of funny. So yeah. Just to kind of recap, if you can unshare your screen for a second, and please feel free to chime in on some questions on this, because this is like, whoa. So you're telling me that this group that you did, the subset, 50% of their cars were not getting leads. Is that a product of, yeah, Brian, is that a product of them? Is that a bad inventory? Is that a bad process? What is causing that to happen inside of the dealership? Is it all due to switches, or do they just have the wrong cars? What could be causing some of that?
Make sure some are fresh that were priced high, no photos. So of course we don't have leads on that yet. But again, if you take advantage of switch leads, you do. And my biggest fear is those cars that we have no leads and no switches. That means I have nobody in my database looking for a similar segment, similar price point. That's a car that I got to get pushed out and get marketed better. So again, I need to manage my inventory based on lead management, not necessarily just what the market says is happening. I could. Think about a car that has this great day supply and looks great in the market, and I have no leads, or I have multiple leads and no one's following up with it. So look at that 2020 Escape I showed you. That's a $2,200 car. It's a $400 car payment. There's so many people looking for that. I don't know why that car doesn't have any leads, other than the fact that we could dig deeper in it, and they might have had 5 leads that got moved to lost after 20 days and said process completed. But if you're not managing your inventory based on leads, you don't know to look for that kind of stuff. So maybe you did have leads, but people gave up on them. Again, they do have leads because there's 25. Nobody really out there just, I have to have an Escape. It is a good looking car, but most of them are just looking for a nice $400 a month intermediate SUV, and that's a good looking car, and they bought it. So again, it happens on the showroom floor all the time. It's just not happening in on the virtual lot. And again, that's why we call it lot walk. We walk a lot, make sure customers and cars are being taken care of, but we really don't do that in a virtual lot walk.
I love the approach of looking at, leads per car versus, leads per BDC agent, and how they're working that, right? You can flip it around and take a look at that and manage your inventory on that. And you are talking about a virtual walk. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the things that we realized, because again, we help dealers. I've done internet sales for 25 years, and I've always done activities per lead. How many calls and emails per lead? Do I want to sell more cars, talk to more people? The thing is, it should be activities per car, because again, that Escape with no leads is getting no activity. Okay. And the 19-day car, the car with 19 leads, there's 19 activities happening on that car. That car doesn't need the help. It's the car without leads that needs all of our time and effort, either marketing strategy, switch opportunities, videos. That's where our energy should be. So activities per car versus activities per lead is, that again, another metric that we're digging into that's helping dealers increase sales.
So here's a question. Does this work only in your system, or can it integrate with other CRMs?
So here's the thing: we're not a CRM and we're not an inventory management tool. We integrate with vAuto real well, VinQ, Max Digital, Dealers Link, and then we integrate real well with dozen CRMs: Vin Solutions, VinQ, or DriveCentric, eLeads, Dealer Socket, Momentum. If they have the data that we're looking for, we just taken those 2 sets and put them together to help you manage customers and cars like we do on our physical lot, because the CRMs have their own program, right? They're trying to text and message and video. The inventory management tool has their own program, book values, MMR, auction data, and everything else. But we're putting these 2 worlds together because that's, again, how we should be managing our stuff, both our leads and our inventory. New and used.
Can you push alerts? Because I think what he's asking.
I don't care about real quick. I don't care about the age of the lead. If I got a problem with my large pickup trucks and they're not selling, I need to call and email those leads every day, every other day to get my sale rate up. But the problem is, if I got a 50-day-old lead on a truck, my CRM is not telling me to call 50-day-old lead every day, every other day. So that's what we're trying to solve there. We're solving that problem for that dealer. Plus, we got 20 other people on trucks that sold that I might be able to tell them about this truck to get that truck moving, so I don't have to drop pricing.
Yeah. So you. Does this push alert? So it alerts me as a used car manager or as a BDC manager. Ding, 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 ding. Here's a problem. Here's a vehicle that's not getting any action, or here's a switch piece. I mean, is it pushing alerts out?
Yeah, so it's a lot walk. Again, we'll say, you're not selling enough out of your 15 to 30 age bucket. Here are your cars. Here's the cars causing those problems. Here's cars with the leads. Contact those leads, and then here's the ones that have switch opportunities, and then BDC gets to log in here, and instead of again logging in and doing 80 tasks out of the CRM, 7-day call, 10-day email, again, it has nothing to do with the customer's buying cycle or my inventory. What they do is they log in and we say, hey, we're not selling a lot of large pickup trucks. Here are all the leads on large pickup trucks. Call and email them every day, every other day to get the sell rate back up. And here's the switches on the large pickup trucks. So we're not selling enough 30 to 35 grand cars. They're slowing down on our lot. Here's the leads on them. Call and email them to get them going. Because you can't go into CRM and isolate truck leads. You can't go into CRM and isolate 30 to 35 grand cars, leads on those cars. It's just CRMs don't talk cars that way. And most inventory management tools aren't talking leads that way either.
Yeah, that was perfect. Well, thank you so much. Go ahead and turn your camera and the screen off. Lance is next. Lance is going to talk about some of that AI. And Amy will answer your question later if we have a little bit of time. Thanks for popping that out. Lance, I'm getting ready to cue you up.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn my screen off. Are you good to go?
If you everyone can see my screen and hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, great. Well, some great presentations so far. Thanks for having me here today. Yeah, so I want to talk about basically how do we use how do we frame up what's happening right now with AI and actually use it tactically in the dealership? Where are we going with it? And this is a problem and something that's really changing rapidly. But I thought I'd go back in time a bit and kind of tell a little story, because I think it framed up what exactly is happening and how it's probably going to unfold when it comes to AI, and kind of comparing it to what happened in the web. And so going back to 1996, I actually started my first web development company in 96, and we were just students at the time, a partner, and we the way we actually got customers is we would look for the largest ads in the newspaper. And of course, car dealers often were there. So of our first 15 or 20 customers, 3 were car dealers. So it was kind of my entry into the car dealer world. And so what we did in 1996, we made these sites for the car dealers. And then we kind of moved on. We just kind of left them static. We taught the dealers how to update them kind of using HTML. There were no CMSs and stuff like that. And we never really heard from dealers again until one day in about 1998. We'd have moved on to a different business by then. But I got a call from all 3 of the dealer principals actually within about an hour, kind of panicking, saying that their websites were down. And so we weren't the web hosts, but I knew who the web hosts were, so we called them. And yeah, sure enough, there was an outage and things were restored in an hour or two, so crisis averted. But it really surprised me because I didn't realize in 98 that they were so reliant on the web already. That they were actually, not that many people were online. It was only 30 minutes a month back then. So I set up a meeting to talk to a couple of them, and what I found out was something interesting. We built it to be for marketing. We built these websites for marketing, but it actually wasn't what they were worried about. What happened was all the people in the dealership, the salespeople, were using the websites to actually figure out what inventory they had. And I said, well, why aren't you using your other tools like the DMSs and the inventory tools? And remember, this is back in 96, 98. Those were like green screens that looked like DOS. They didn't have pictures. They didn't have marketing descriptions. And really this new interface that, called the web, versus the internet, which was like more of the same that way. The web was really a really easy way for the people in the dealership to use the site. So they were just panicking because the people in the dealership were using it to basically learn about their inventory. And I feel like this is kind of where we're at when it comes to things like AI and generative AI. Right now, I've led the machine learning team to some extent here over the last 5 years at Lotlinx. And this is just a really complicated graph, but all I'm trying to say here is most machine learning systems are tucked into or behind products. And so in other words, when we say, well, Lotlinx is using machine learning, it's inside of the product somewhere. The actual customers themselves aren't interacting with the models because it's really complicated to do, though. You'd have to use Python or other types of programming languages. We have to open it up and it'd be complicated to do. But everything's changed, and it all changed in November when ChatGPT was released to the public. And what really is the exciting change about ChatGPT is that you don't need to have those complicated systems to interact with models directly. So really what happened was we can use regular language, these are large language models, to actually kind of program the AIs and communicate with the AIs. So, I just, before I got on the call here, write a tweet for this vehicle. I just grabbed the VDP page of one of our customers, and it just very quickly tweeted this out in moments, right? That's exciting because I'm actually direct. I don't have to hire a programmer. I can just go directly deal with these large language models. And so this is something that's a really quick change, something that we never saw coming this quickly anyways. And I think all dealers have to consider what they're going to do about this and what actions they can take. So ultimately, there's a bunch of things we can leverage. So the one thing about AI and machine learning language is they think in complete outcomes. So you can say, what exactly do you want? And so I think where we're going to go there is really is this right here. So this is where we're going, but we're not there yet. And so let's just say, and I just tried this here this morning. tell me what are the top 10 used vehicles, your make, model, trim, mileage, range to acquire that will be produce the greatest gross, that are in high demand, have low competition, and can be sold within 30 days. Now, of course, ChatGPT says I'm an AI model. I can't, I have a cutoff of September 2021. I don't have the current data. I don't know exactly how to answer your question, not yet. Here's the thing. These are questions that are going to be very quickly answered in the in the future, like near future. So how do we as dealers, and how do dealers use this information, and how do we use it now? I think the most important thing we have to do is understand basically how do we interact with these models? How do we interact with vendors that have models? And really, it really is about data. So you need this information in order to actually answer these questions, or your vendor needs to have these informations: days on lot, pricing, margin, make, model, demand, shopping intensity, trim, colors, features, of course, what's going on in the market and fluctuations. These are really billions of data points that are happening all the time. If that information is there, those questions will be very quickly be able to be answered. And so ultimately, the difference though is when you're dealing with now that we're going to be able to very quickly be able to deal with AIs directly that are specific to our dealerships, just like just like the dealership are using the internet inside of the dealership, it's going to be a real game changer, because they will essentially tell you the answer to almost anything, within reason. It won't be perfect at first, but it's going to get better and better and better. And the AI is going to want to know what result you're looking for. They're not going to say, you can't tell an AI, hey, go do this, do that. They'll say, what result do you want? And then they go out and do it. So designing your goals and your measurement plans are really important, because the specificity of the goal that you're looking for is really going to tie into the answer. And so they'll do the work. They'll do the hard work. I mean, there's a lot of work that the machines will not be doing. They will not be greeting your customer, talking to your customer. There are things that are obviously they won't be doing, but this hard work of crunching and understanding is so sophisticated. It'll do all that heavy lifting for you. And, we've got, of course, we have models that we've been building here for the last 5 years. Even inside of the product, they're almost 100% more effective than when we decided to do things without machines. And so I'll, just to give you some examples here, you can see here instead of basically, thinking, you think about campaigns, for example, running campaigns, you could say, well, I want to target this audience, or I want to use these channels, Google, SEM, Facebook, etc. Instead of saying that, you say to the machine, hey, I've got, all these cars that are 200 plus days on lot, and I want to get rid of them. Well, that's a result, And so you can see here, we ran them both ways. We do it AI driven versus classic. And classic basically is classic campaign management, and the AI wins every time. And it's only getting better and better and better. Same thing here. So a luxury OEM campaign, every single one we look at is, basically much outperforming, because the machine is going toward the outcome, not the strategy itself. And so, another one here, another domestic, again, it just, the results show time and time after again, that when you go with machines and you look at outcomes rather than strategies, it tends to outperform. So basically kind of the takeaway here that I'm really hoping people get from here is that within a very short period of time, you're going to be able to interact directly regarding your dealership with large language models, enabling direct kind of advice and decision-making within the dealership. And the early adopters are going to have a huge opportunity, because they're going to be working with much, much better data sets, customized than just asking questions back and forth. But you have to learn to kind of figure out how to do that, what we call, they call that prompting in large language models, to get exactly the goal that you're trying to achieve. Great, thank you so much.
All right, Lance, thank you so much. I've got the upcoming Driving Sales Executive Summit. We've got a gentleman named Ben Hammersley that is going to be presenting on the main stage. And through my conversation with him, this is my word, not his, but it seems like with ChatGPT-4, there was like that the AI had an epiphany, that all of a sudden, it just was like drastic. It wasn't this long play evolution. It was like all of a sudden it just hit and it was good. So it sounds like what you're saying is, I think we're all pretty good, and we've just been conditioned for the last 10, 20 years to know how to ask questions in our search to get the right search results. And it seems like that there's this, now they're going to need to be this art of how you get the right results from the AI. It's based, are you saying it's based on how you ask the question or what, or prompt or what you're looking for?
Exactly right. So it's a slightly different way of thinking of things, because when you're asking, it's basically, in a way though, it's kind of the way we would ask anyone, it's more natural. And so and I guess that's why the large language model is so powerful, because it allows you to ask about maybe 10 billion data points, a very specific question, and get the answer back very quickly. And so rather than, again, having to like go in and program all that kind of stuff or create an interface, all that, it's all going to be right at your fingertips. And knowing how to ask those questions and asking for outcomes really will give you the advantage when getting information back from these models.
Yeah, Brian's asking, couldn't you simply ask the AI to read the current model reports and summarize, then ask the same question to get the current result? And I think that he's thinking along the same lines as maybe we all are, which is like, how do we learn how to do this? Like, I mean, it sounds like that there's going to be a real art to this, and the people who can figure it out are going to have that leg up.
That's right. And, I mean, the kind of buzzword right now is called, prompt engineering, but all it really means is how do we prompt the AI? Because at some point when we're asking questions, it's converting it into code and then figuring it out and trying to guess what we want. Those questions are the way that we ask the question could get a very, very different result. So getting really, really clear and understanding how the machine would understand that prompt becomes a very, very important skill in a dealership. I mean, really for everyone, but certainly within a dealership.
Well, and then I think what Brian's asking is, we can teach the AI to answer your question by how you put your stuff in. I mean, the AI over time is going to kind of get that, right? Like, this is what we're really looking for.
Exactly right. Yeah. So over time, it will get better and better at understanding those things. And so, in fact, it'll even get better at understanding an individual, because different individuals ask questions different ways. It'll also get the feedback of, whether or not that the answer was what you wanted versus not what you wanted. So yeah, over time, it will just get better and better in that respect.
No, man. Anybody have any other questions? I think this is a fascinating, something that, I'm just going to say it, kids these days, like our kids are going to be like, they're going to know how to ask these. That's just going to be part of their core skill is leveraging this. And it's just really, really fascinating.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's going to be almost the difference between, like, imagine if you didn't have Google and you're up against someone who had Google and you were searching for stuff. It's
right.
Knowing how to do that is it's going to be night and day, basically.
Serious. All right. Well, thank you so much. If you can stop sharing your screen and turn your camera off, Lance, we got Mike. Mike DeCecco is going to be next. Mike, if you want to turn your video on and get queued up here.
All right, here we go. Let me do some sharing.
All right.
Okay. And it looks like I got to do this. And then, are you seeing the right screen this time?
But yeah, well, I'm seeing it. Go ahead and hit present now. No, got to switch them again.
Switch them. Dang it. Okay, hang on.
I will say you get the prize for the most colorful slide deck, though.
Thank you. We're trying. What? Why the heck won't it let me?
It was display settings on the top.
Oh, there it is. Yep. Okay. Sorry. I did this before too. You'd think I'd have this figured out.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about everybody's favorite subject on a Friday before a long weekend in the afternoon, which is car insurance. I know that you guys are at the edge of your seats, can't even hold it together because car insurance is the sexiest thing on planet Earth. We're going to talk about that today, but it's actually a really important part of the sales process that most dealers are just not doing much with at all. So we're going to talk about a study that we've done over a course of a number of years that really kind of positions why car insurance is going to be ubiquitous in sales processes moving forward. So right now we're missing out on an opportunity as dealers to embed insurance sales into our process. Very few dealers are really taking advantage of the ability to drive revenue and car sales with incorporating insurance in their process. Interestingly enough, most customers think it would be a lot easier and more convenient if the dealer was to help facilitate them with their insurance purchase when they actually buy their car. This is happening in every other vertical on earth. You can buy trip insurance, you can buy, you can buy insurance with a washing machine when you buy it. Why not with a car? Well, and that's what companies like Poly are trying to change. So it's also a really fantastic ancillary revenue stream. So cost of ownership is really important to consumers, and we're going to talk a little bit about the data that we have around that. But it's also important as a dealer to think about how do we create very stable revenue streams inside the store that are not necessarily affected by macroeconomic things that happen, like what we just went through with COVID. And the last piece is consumers really want to get their car insurance while they're at the store. It makes sense, but it's interesting because every single deal, car insurance is compulsory, right? There's a few exceptions where in some states you can drive off the lot without proof of it or whatever, but pretty much you could say that every deal has to have car insurance, yet most dealers do very little with it. However, we're doing a lot of work to sell them F&I products and prepaid maintenance and key replacement and tire and wheel packages and all this other kind of stuff. Why not car insurance? It doesn't really make any sense not to do that. If we're willing to monetize everything under the sun, why aren't we doing that with car insurance? And again, I'll reiterate that the consumers believe that this is where insurance should be. It's very odd that we will sell a car and then say, okay, go ahead and call your insurance company and we have nothing to do with that, right? And I understand that makes sense to do that in some cases, right? However, consumers are telling us they want this as part of the process, mostly because they're thinking about a total cost of ownership, right? So what are things that are important to car buyers? Of course, the overall cost of the car, and is it a good car, does it perform well, and fuel economy, and all these things. But price of car insurance is even higher than the brand that the consumer is thinking about purchasing. So it's really a big piece of how they're thinking about a total cost perspective when it comes to a new vehicle that they're thinking about buying or a used vehicle that they're thinking about buying. Now, that's the consumer side. Why is this really cool when insurance and dealerships and consumers kind of come together at the point of sale? Well, we'll talk about that. So when consumers save on car insurance, everyone wins. So consumers that save, now this is just our data from Poly, but it's likely similar with others in the space. When consumers do save money on their car insurance, right, it's $69 a month. That translates into roughly $3,500 in increased buying power, right? So let's say you're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 bucks away on a monthly payment from putting a deal together. Well, what if I could save you 50 bucks on your car insurance? Would that get it done today? Right? It makes a lot of sense. Now, let's say your F&I person just found out that person that's walking in to their office just saved $500 on their car insurance. Well, geez, don't you want to protect this vehicle to 100,000 miles? You just saved all of that money on your car insurance. Let's just make sure that your vehicle is protected. So what we found is that when customers save money on their car insurance, that translates into additional buying power, and it increases the average back-end gross when somebody does save money on their car insurance, and it's included in this process because now it's an opportunity to translate those savings into additional revenue for the dealer. So very, very cool. So dealers can make a significant amount of money doing this, and the consumer also gets the benefit of having you be the one that comes to them that helped them save money on something, which is really fantastic. So if you think about it this way, what it does is for dealers, it can drive a really stable long-term revenue stream. So our licensed dealers get paid a percentage of Poly's commission on every policy that's sold, but not just when the policy's sold. They also get paid a commission when that policy renews, and the dealer has to do absolutely no work at all to get that renewal money. So what you get is you start to build this perpetual flywheel of income. Does it take time? Yes, but this is money that you're not even thinking about picking up right now. That's essentially there for the taking by just embedding insurance into your sales process. So the key takeaways here are car buyers want this. They're thinking about insurance as they're buying a car. So why are we not talking about it? Secondly, when consumers save money on their car insurance, you make more money. Dealers become more profitable. It's like no-brainer territory. And then consumers really expect to be have insurance included in this process. Like I mentioned, in all other verticals, including washing machines and computers, you can buy insurance right there. I mean, I was offered insurance on like a $12 electronic product I bought at Target the other day. So it's really ubiquitous in society. It's just interesting that we haven't yet incorporated it as fully as we could in automotive. So I know that that was quick and hopefully relatively painless for everyone on the call, but hopefully you learned something. And one of the things that we've learned about this is, this year we were awarded the No Brainer Award because quite frankly, that's what this is. Insurance should be part of the car buying process. It's good for consumers. It's great for dealers. It's time to start adopting this. That's it. Questions, concerns, hopes, dreams, fears.
And with that, Mike drops the mic, not himself, but the mic. That was wow, that was a lot. So I might have missed something, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw out a question. Please chat your questions in, and please fill out your ballots that you got in your email so that we can get this winner announced. Did you showed payment savings, you showed buying power. Did I miss, do we have data on what the F&I PVR does when insurance is added? Did I miss?
Actually, it's $454 PVR lift per transaction when the customer.
And that's all because the insurance, they're like, well, I just saved X, so I might as well.
Exactly. Right. And so the F&I people love this because it essentially makes hitting a extended warranty a softball out of the park.
Right. So I know that your company has, I've seen it, grow a lot in the last, since you started, but as far as states, I mean, are you guys 50 state right now? I mean, like, where is that at with
we've got some really good coverage. I don't know exactly how much. There's some states where we're still working through with the Department of Insurance and some other things to get set up. And state by state, there are varying levels of compliancy and things that we need to. So, we'd encourage you if to reach out to us. Obviously, if you're interested in including insurance in your sales process, depending on what state you are, we have varying options for how you can present insurance depending on the state that you're in.
Yeah. So Brian just asked, how many companies do you underwrite for?
Really interesting. So we have 40 different carriers. So think about it this way. If your customer is calling your insurance company or their insurance company, they're getting a quote from that one insurance company, right? If they go through somebody like Poly, now 40 companies are competing in real time for that customer's business. So if you think about it that way, you're much more likely to get a really good rate when you've got a ton of companies competing for that consumer as they come into the funnel.
Yeah, he's also asking, will the current insurance company also give them a bid and count it as a different agent? I mean, are we talking about like how good are the rates, et cetera? I mean, do we have to worry about that?
We can't, obviously we can't control anything with their current insurance company. Likely they're one of our 40. So it'd be interesting to see, right? If, hey, what does it come out with Nationwide? Let me call my Nationwide person, right? We deal in real volume. So generally we're able to save people money.
Yeah. So from a process standpoint, what I'm assuming what works now the best is this gets talked about during the write-up stage or after the sale. Like when is the best time that people are doing to introduce this?
The best time is when people are twiddling their thumbs waiting to go into F&I, right? So you just got a deal done. What we like to train our people on is, hey, now that we've got this all squared away, we partner with I know we're not supposed to talk about our own companies, but we partner with a company called Poly, and they're going to make sure that you're paying what you're supposed to be for your new car's insurance, right? And it's a really easy tee up. The salesperson can just go through, and we have integration, so we can just push that data directly from the CRM into our system, and it can spit out quotes. And then when the customer calls in, we do have to talk to the consumer to bind them on a policy. We'll ask those questions again, make sure that, sometimes people don't self-report like, hey, I got 2 DWIs, right? So, generally we don't have the salespeople ask a lot of those questions, but once they get on with an agent, they'll get the real number because we can pull a driving abstract and all that sort of information.
So here's a question. I was with Nationwide. Another agent quoted me with Allied, which is the same company, and saved me a lot. Does that happen inside Poly, or does it preclude their current insurance? And I think what I think what we're kind of getting at too is this something that like they're going to be like, yeah, right, let me call my agent. I think I can beat the deal you're giving me, or are these pretty consistent across the board?
We consistently will beat local agents just because of the fact that we are playing in the thousands of policies a month range, and that gives us a lot of leverage with carriers. So the beauty is that you've got, like I said, those 40 different carriers competing for that customer.
So with this long-term revenue stream that's available for stores, I'm sorry, I'm in the weeds right now, Mike.
Totally.
Are stores spiffing salespeople, or are spiffing, like, I mean, how are stores?
Yeah, great question. Great question.
Policies.
So this is a really cool thing for dealer owners, dealer principals, but then also all the way down, not down, but to this car salespeople, right? Which I once was, so I can say this. This is a fantastic opportunity as an additional revenue stream for those salespeople, because we pay $25 for every referral that a salesperson sends to us. So if you have somebody on the phone and you have a customer in front of you and they call Poly and they get quotes on insurance, we pay that salesperson $25 for that. And then there's additional money that is sent to, it can be divvied up however your team wants to do it. If you want to pay the folks behind the desk, if you want to pay the dealer principal, if you want to pay the general manager, we pay based on referrals. Unless you're on our license model, then you get paid for the referral, but then you also get a percentage of our commission as well as percentage of the commission on renewals.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike. We've got a few minutes. I don't know if we want to sing a song or something, but please fill out the votes. I'm up behind the scenes. I'm here looking at where we're at from a submission thing. So let's give it a couple more seconds. All of the finalists can hop back on. We just don't have to have Mike. And we can just get to the point to where we can announce this thing. So if you're a dealer and you're on this thing, let's fill out those ballots. Once again, the winner of this gets a keynote at DSCS. So you're voting on, which had the best insight, which was the most applicable in your store. You're also voting on the one that when you go to the Driving Sales Executive Summit, you want to get blown up into a 40-minute presentation, right? Because this is where we're going to take that and do a lot with it. So give you guys a couple more minutes to fill out the ballots. What's that?
This is Jason. Could I chime in on, somebody asked a question about what do we?
Oh yeah. So Amy asked a question. Thank you for that. She said, what does it consider a switch vehicle? Are you looking at by body style, price, make and model? How do you determine which vehicles are switches?
So for used cars, we mostly just do it by segment and price point. So what we do is, segment would be compact SUV, intermediate SUV, luxury SUV, large truck, small truck, pickup truck. And then we take the price, and then our default is a $5,000 spread. And what I mean by that is if it's 40 grand, we'll go 25 below, 2,500 ahead. So do I have any other large pickup trucks around 37.5 to 42.5 to talk to the customer about? Now on new cars, we'll do the same thing, but we'll do make and model. So because we initially, when we did it on new cars, somebody put the lead in on a Bronco is suggesting switching them to an Edge because it's that same segment price point. But anyways, used is going to be segment price point, but we also allow dealers to edit that. So if they're at a 10 grand car, or 15 grand or less, maybe it's a $1,500 spread below and above. And then if it's a 50 grand or 80 grand or 100 grand, maybe we want to do 5 or 10 grand spreads, 5 grand below, 5 grand above. So it's totally a 10 grand spread. And so we allow dealers to edit that to then calculate what they want to do as a switch. So, I mean, if you want to take a 20 grand car, make it 15 to 25 grand, you could do that too. But it's mostly segment and then price point, because I think that's where a lot of buyers are. They need a compact SUV at 30 grand. They want a large pickup truck but have 40 grand to spend.
Yeah,
So
you're a former dealer guy. At the end of the day, I am too. We always taught choices are easier than decisions, right? If I'm going to send somebody something, I should send them 3 so that they have one to pick from. And you might as well make those like vehicle models or switch pieces, so that they have those options and choices. It should be built in.
Yeah, and again with leads, especially a 30-day lead on a sold car, most people are just giving up on them. It's like, why? You don't know. Did they tell you they bought? Did they tell you they're not open to a Chevy? I mean, why not introduce it? And that's what we're finding is dealers are. You throw a customer that's submitted a lead on a Ford, you throw them a Chevy and say, hey, that Ford's sold, but I got this Chevy. All of a sudden the customer go, why are you sending me this? I want a Ford. Oh, okay. And so that, and then also, again, especially when you're helping them saying, hey, that car's gone, but guess what? I got this one in. Oh, that one don't work. I got this one. How about that? And now you're starting to earn their business. The walls come down and price becomes less of an issue. And that's where we're finding them able to work the leads a little better.
Right. Well,
I'll
guys,
stop there.
I don't know if we need I don't know if we need a drum roll for this, or if we need some smooth jazz, but let's go ahead and call this thing. Thank you for everyone that voted. There are some really, you guys, this is what this competition is all about. I mean, you have a ton of data, and to be able to share those insights and that data with us, I think is really fun. So without further ado, person who is going to give the keynote at DSES at the upcoming Driving Sales Executive Summit is, it's like it's Cox Automotive. Cox Automotive, you're gonna, Keating, if you're on this, you're gonna be really happy, because I know you guys have been doing this for a long time, and you got one. So thank you so much for the insights with the amount of data that you guys have and the outcomes that you can produce. I think it's what's kind of funny is, if you think about a common theme with all of you guys, this all fits together. But I feel like that 10 years ago, we were all talking big data. Now we have something to do. We actually have the technology that to use the data, right? And so thank you so much. So we'll be reaching out to you. Everyone that participated, thank you. Jason, Mike, Lance, Brent, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate your time, and we will be talking soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Congratulations,
and
Brent.
thanks
Good
for all the
job.
votes. Appreciate that, Mike. And maybe I'll see you around town.
Yeah, let's go get a beer and a coffee downtown
That sounds
at the
good.
same time.
That's-
See you, bud.
Thanks, Mike. That was great stuff.
All right. Thanks,
And
guys.
that's awesome product you guys
Yeah,
got
great.
there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
Mike.
thanks so much, guys.
You guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you
All right.
later.